Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to be assembling the engine. Stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button and hit that post notification bell to stay up to date with this build. A little sneak peek here. With that being said, let's get into it. Alright boys, we've got the rods, we've got the bearings, we've got the new STI crank. Yep, we've got three sitting over there, but this is the brand new STI crank. And we are going to hopefully get the short block together this episode. So yeah, let's dive into it. Alright, this is like parcel. It's third layer, and it looks like it's all oiled up in there. I've had this sitting on my driver's seat in the forest for probably 6 weeks. So yeah, I've got all the seals, got all the O-rings, got pretty much everything that I need to get the short block back together. New oil pump. I'm not sure if I told you, I've got an 11mm oil pump, which previously I had a 10, and that one went through an engine explosion, so I really shouldn't be using it, especially when I'm going this deep into the rebuild now. So all new stuff. If you didn't see a video from, or a photo from Instagram the other week, a little friend sitting there, it's dead. I don't know how it got there, but its arse end is missing. But yeah, it did scare the crap out of me. That is the one that's out of the block that I'm using. That's my original GT Foz one, which had the spun bearing, and no, that one is out of that block. That one is the GT one, and that is the one that came out of the current one, which still has the rods on it. So these two are NA ones. That's a GT Foz one. This is an STI one. Here's another layer. Who can read Japanese? Nice. So clean. Ooh, so pretty. Alright, definitely gonna have to set this up for a thumbnail. I have to clean it up a bit. It's got stuff on it. Let's get some ultra grey in there, get some ultra black in there, and that should be a good one. Oh my god, so nice. Better than these ones. Jeez. Alright guys, so I printed off Manley sheet for torque values for the rod caps, and went to the workshop manual and got the torque for that, got the torque for the crank case bolts, and the order that I should be doing the case bolts up in, and obviously their torque as well for the outside ones. If you've been watching for a little bit, you'd know that I stuffed two on the block that's in there. This one here, that one snapped, that one threaded, that one snapped. So Just got to make sure that we do it in the right order to the right torque specs. So let's get into assembling the crank. Just measured them all up, found out that they are this top one here on the ARP 2000s for the cap bolts, the rod bolts. You know what that is. So we have to go to 60 foot-pound with 30 weight oil. When I looked at the factory one, it says to torque it to 44 foot-pound, or 44 newton meters, should I say, for the caps. And now we're at 60 foot-pounds, which is 81 newton meters. So we're nearly like double. Alright, so what we need to do is clean up the surfaces, and we're going to use the flexi gauge here so we can see the bearing clearances. So we are looking for 2 thou. So we're looking for from here to here. So what this does, it's like, I'll show you, but it ends up squishing down to that thickness. Yeah, so we've got to put them on each of the big end bearings. We'll clamp down the end caps, and then to spec. Yeah, then we take them off, and we just hold this up to it and go, yep, that's within spec. Clean it up, and then we'll lube it up and put it all together. Alright boys, so we are getting our bearings out. So I've got all the old ones over here. I'll score it up a little bit. Yeah, get them out. We are not lubing them up, we are not rotating anything, we are just clamping this down. Might see if there's a little bit of wiggle, but yeah. Boys, just turn the crank over because I've set the pistons up 1, 2, 3, 4. And obviously I had it around the other way. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we'll clean up these journals, and we'll get the bearings onto the rod. I'll show you what I do with the plastic gauge, flexi gauge. Alright, so these come with a bit of oil on them, so we're just going to clean them up. Okay, as you can see, I've got the rod in there. We have Manley facing the front. That's what I remember. So now what we need to do is put a piece of the flexi gauge or plastic gauge on here, and then we tighten down the cap. Alright, there's a little fella on there, a little green bit. I dropped about 4 of them, or 3 of them. Well, there's one. Alright, so now we need to bolt on the end cap to spec. Pull it off, and we measure it by just looking how much it got crushed. Alright, so I've got the torque wrench set to 81 newton meters. So that's the conversion that I did, 60 foot-pound to 81 newton meters. So just got to go evenly on these two. Once I've done that, I'll back it off and check the width. There we go. Hey, whew. See if it moves. It's tight. There's no lube in there though. Alright boys, there it is, the little smudge. So we get that, and we go, how thick is it? Yeah, it matches that one. We are, what's that, 2 thou? Yep, so we're in spec. Right, so that is the first one done. So we've got the bearings in there now. I did dip the bolts into the oil and then torqued it. So it's going to do it to the rest of the three, which is exactly the same, so I'm not going to show you. Plus you guys got to go and charge. Alright boys, it's 11 o'clock now. I just finished the last one there, and that is 2 thou. So they all came in at 2 thou, which is perfect. So I'll just clean up those surfaces and we'll assemble it with the assembly lube. Alright, so all the journals for the rods are cleaned up. The main ones are not yet. All the rods are ready to go in. So I'll show you the first one, or number 4. We'll work our way back. Alright, the assembly lube. It's really hard to do it through this screen. I'm going to put quite a lot in here, but just smear it. So it goes through the oil and will come out in that break-in oil. I like to slide them in that way. And do the caps. Can't have too much. As long as you don't have them on these surfaces, on the mating surfaces, it should be good. So with the bolts, I just says to soak them in the oil. I like to do the bottom one first. Let's get a few in there. It's what Manley calls for, the oil, so don't have a go at me. Alright, just going to duck these up. Nah, not really. I'm just going to use the ratchet just to get them in there a bit quicker. We're going to do these evenly. Don't have a 1/2 inch 11 12 point, so I've got to use that with the breaker bar. It's been working fine. So yeah, I'll just torque this up and we'll move on to the next one. Alright guys, it took me about half an hour to do all of them again. I went through and checked them all, like took the bearings out, wiped it dry, made sure it was perfect. Number 2 actually still had some of the plastic gauge on the cap, so I'm pretty lucky I was doing that. Paying attention, we've got assembly lube in there, so that's taking up the clearance, so they don't move that much. They moved a lot more with nothing in there, obviously, because there's more clearance, but that'll all free up once the car starts and the oil's going through it. That one's already starting to get a bit more loose, but they're all good. So I think that's actually going to be it for this episode, boys. I'm going to take my time, so we'll assemble them. The next episode I'm doing, it'll be the short block, so I'll be putting this in, also be checking the clearances on the main bearings, so pretty similar, and we'll be getting the whole short block back together. So pistons in, pump on, seals on, and then I guess it'll be onto the engine stand. Might be onto the engine stem even before I get the pistons in. Might make it a bit easier for me, I think. Maybe. Yeah, it will. Anyway, if you like this episode, boys, and you're pretty keen on what's happening, what's coming up with this build, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you're notified every time I upload. Thanks for watching, boys, and I'll catch you next episode. Bye.